Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, the stock markets posted gains for the third consecutive week by the end of Friday. Even though Friday was softer and the Nifty did end the 5 days of a winning streak, but both the Sensex and the Nifty managed to end over 2% higher for the week, marking their biggest weekly gains in 6 months as well. And this was also on the back of FIIs that have started to pour in money in the month of December. They have started this month on a positive note, purchased almost over 14,000 odd crore rupees in the equities in just the last 3 trading sessions, providing significant boost to the market sentiment as well. Now, as we move forward into this new week, market attention will be turning towards macroeconomic indicators like IIP, CPI inflation, and on the domestic front, we'll also see primary market gearing up for a dynamic week with 3 mainline IPOs, including Vishal Megamart and MobiKwik, alongside 5 SME offerings, which will be opening for subscription as well. So it's going to be another interesting week to watch out for. Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We start Monday on strong cues that have come in from overseas, and of course the fact that at a 7-week high over the last 3 weeks, the Nifty's added a total of 1100 points to its kitty. So most likely we will see a consolidative week as far as the next 5 sessions are concerned, and more importantly you have lots of inflationary data on inflation, which is expected from China, from the US, and of course the CPI number that will come as far as our markets are concerned on Thursday, which ladies and gentlemen will also be the weekly expiry of the Nifty. I'm talking about December 12th. So all put together, you have good cues coming in from parts of the market that trouble us, which means that the US 10-year yield is quiet at about 4.151%. This is now around 200-day DMA. Most likely you will see this yield falling below the 200-day DMA because on December 18th, chances that the US Federal Reserve will introduce its third cut in borrowing costs have risen to 86%. So yields will narrow down, they will ease out. The dollar index is quiet as well, and more importantly, crude oil has slipped another $1 despite the problems that we've seen in the weekend as far as Syria is concerned, right there in the Middle East. These three are very positive points, and more importantly, there has been a record high on Dow Jones on Friday and a record high on Nasdaq. So those are cues that are going to be welcomed very well as far as markets are concerned. Dow Jones again rallies for the 3rd week in a row, and of course you've seen very strong outperformance from tech companies such as Amazon and Tesla. And for all those who took our advice and bought the Mafang NYSE FANG fund, as also magical number of 20,000, and that of course is an all-time high at the moment, and of course will be a career highlight as far as Nifty is concerned. All put together, ladies and gentlemen, at this time 24,800 is a very strong resistance for the Nifty. We've seen it sort of come into action on Friday and Thursday as well, so keep that in mind. Of course, a very strong support for Nifty bulls emerges at 24,500, 24,400. So any dip that we see in this consolidating phase as far as Nifty is concerned over the weekend, over these 5 trading sessions, towards 24,500, that would be a sensible entry point. But at the moment 24,677 is where the Nifty is. As Sakshi mentioned, it slipped a bit on Friday because of the credit policy, and of course we had seen a very sharp run up all that week. In this week gone by, 546 points were added on the Nifty, and 30 points is what the market took back on Friday. So it's a quiet start as far as Monday is concerned, but overall cues are intensely positive. And amongst the shares that need to be mentioned, one is Paytm. Of course, the entire internet space has been abuzz all of last week because of their entry primarily into the F&O space in December's expiry. But Paytm, you need to watch. News coming in that its Singapore unit will sell. The Japanese payment business for 2200 crores. That will help the local balance sheet as well, and that is something that we are looking forward to, because across the board you've seen Paytm, you've seen internet stocks do pretty well in trade in the week gone by. Of course, wealth management companies, CDSL, CAMS, KFintech, MCX, BSC will be in top form, as also metal counters that at least I am looking forward to. So this is how the structure is for the market as far as this week is concerned. Bank Nifty is stronger than Nifty, just about 900 points shy of its all-time high of 54,500. Maybe we'll see that coming sooner on the Bank Nifty than on the Nifty, but overall, Sakshi, the mood is intensely positive, and let's hear from you what the US markets did. As I had mentioned, record highs on Dow and the Nasdaq.
Absolutely, Shell. So global stocks advanced as investors also raised their bets on the prospects of US interest rate cuts this month after the payrolls data has showed strong jobs growth in November, while the euro has dipped against the dollar as the political turmoil has also gripped France right there. So we'll also keep an eye out on the geopolitical tensions, although on Friday we did see the Dow Jones end about 0.2% lower after hitting that record level, and also for S&P 500, it finished about 0.25% higher in trade. The Nasdaq Composite definitely was the outperforming one. It ended almost 0.8% up in trade. When we talk about the Brent crude levels, they were trading slightly higher, 0.07% up at $71.7 a barrel. And what we've also seen is that following the US markets, the Asian markets, most of them were trading mixed in the early morning trading session, trying to read the risk sentiment that has remained dampened due to the tension in South Korea as well. Lawmakers in South Korea have now filed a motion to impeach the President Yoon Suk Yeol, which was scrapped due to the lack of required votes earlier. Another impeachment motion can now be called after December 11, so that will keep the Asian markets continuing to be on the edge. Nikkei up by about 0.3% this morning, Kospi down by 2%, Hang Seng down by 0.04%, that's marginal down, and the SSE China up by about 0.4%. The Gift Nifty is indicating a positive start at 24,739 as of now. As far as the key stocks and the flows of the markets are concerned, remember the overseas investors have again turned net sellers of the Indian equities on Friday after 3 days of straightaway buying that we saw. 1830 odd crore rupees is what they have sold. In fact, this is the highest amount in this month for a single days of sell-off that we've seen from the FIIs. But the DIS came back on the street. 1659 odd crore rupees is something that they have bought as of Friday. Talking about the key stocks that you can keep an eye out on, Biocon has got an EIR, from the US FDA for its API facility, which was under surveillance inspection at between September 23rd and 27th. So that's a positive one for the company. Welspun Corp is in focus. It's bagged 2 orders in the US for HSAW pipes and supply of pipes. Value of accumulated orders received by the US plant till Q3 of FY25 has now exceeded 7,000 odd crore rupees. Another positive one. Ease My Trip Planners is going to be in focus. The share purchase agreement to acquire 49% of P-Fledge for 30 odd crore rupees has been cleared. UAE based company P-Fledge Home is in fact engaged in the business of medical tourism right there. That's something that is going to be important for the company going forward. We are again going to be keeping a keen eye out on both M&M and Indigo. Remember, M&M is set to contest Indigo's trademark claim on the BE6E for its upcoming electric SUV in courts now, even as the automobile giant has said that it would rebrand an SUV as BE6 to avoid any unnecessary distractions on that front as well. Ultratech Cement, the company has received a notice from Fair Trade Regulator CCI over the proposed acquisition of the South-based India Cements rights there. We'll have to see how that one floats around. 197 Communications has already been highlighted by Shell right there. Remember, the parent company of Paytm Singapore entity is set to sell its stake in Japanese fintech corporation PayPay to SoftBank Vision Fund 2 for 2,364 odd crore rupees right there. Apart from this, we are going to be keeping a keen eye out on JP Morgan has now assigned overweight rating to 4 Adani Group bonds and has ruled out any signs of stress across the key listed entities of the conglomerate, saying that most of them have leveraged less than 5 times as well. Apart from this, Sun Pharma will be in focus. Jeffrey has a buy call here with a 2150 rupees of a target price. They're talking about how analysis of their latest cancer treatment specialty assets suggest combined peak sales of $100 million. And other implications are still in the trial stage right there, but a lot in the offing as being seen as positive. On Godrej Consumer, Jeffries has a buy call with a target price of 1550. They do believe in a first, the company has released its pre-quarter update well before the quarter ends, with both soap and insecticides likely to see revenue growth and the EBITDA likely to decline on the margin pressures. Management also sees these as transitory issues right now, and they would be continuing to look at it going forward. On Reliance Industries, most at free cash generation likely to pick up. There is tariff hike, market share gains, a lot moving positive for Reliance Industries as of now. So those are the key stocks that one can keep an eye out on. Shail.
Ladies and gentlemen, just the right time to welcome our very dear friend, Mr. Chakri Lokpriya, who joins us from Red Strawberry LLP, where he is the managing partner. Good morning to you, sir, and a very warm welcome. We've been sort of meeting after a very, very long while. Sentiment has improved on Dalal Street. Anything that catches your fancy in this uptick that we've seen over the last 1 week or so, where it's more pronounced? What looks good and what looks to be had at the present levels?
Indeed, the sentiment has clearly improved in the last 1 month or so. And I think right now, basically, post the RBI CRR cut, I think, there's some more liquidity which will help some of the financials. And so, talking of financials, within that, companies which like, REC, the power finances, basically, their loan growth is not less dependent upon economy because, power spending still continues. The stocks have corrected quite a bit. So REC, power finance look good. Second, the Adani group of companies have corrected quite significantly. And in spite of the current rise in the last, some of the stocks, Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, Adani Green, these companies are still looking worth buying into, simply because their long-term potential, each one of them is a market leader, going to be a market leader in its space. So I think these are some of the significant things which have happened in the last 1 month or so.
Very good morning to you, Chakri, and good to have you with us yet again. With most of the immediate key indicators now out of the way, what is it that the markets are really pinning their hopes on for a clear direction going forward from here? Of course, as we move closer to the end of the year, we are expecting a Santa Claus rally to really come up strong. There were signs earlier. Will this continue to sustain? And what will drive the Santa rally really?
Good morning. Globally, the Santa Claus rally is actually far more clearer, simply because you have Trump in place. All his sound bites are positive for the markets, U.S. market, and there's going to be another rate cut in the U.S. On December 18th. So I think as far as so that will help all our Indian export sectors, where IT will continue to do well, pharma will relatively do okay. Textiles, Indian textiles will do okay. Now, I think what is necessary from an Indian perspective is a repo rate cut by RBI for Indian IT companies. Rather than waiting until February, I think it needs to be sooner because growth has slowed down at the GDP level as well as at the corporate level.
Chakri, when you look at how markets have behaved over the last 2 weeks in particular, we've seen sustained rallies coming into the wealth management space at a time when perhaps sentiment on Dalal Street took a very serious beating. How do you explain this conundrum to our viewers? Why do you think a record high is happening on BSC, on CAMS, on CDSL? What is prompting these rallies?
One in the wealth management space, clearly, wealth as an management as a space clearly is seeing a lot of interest, both domestic as well as foreign. And so, from the pure wealth management firms, I think there is still a very strong runway because financial assets seems to be a very strong asset base for savings. And second, all the ancillary companies like CDSL, their volumes will only continue to increase based on the overall pie increasing. Outside of that, I think there has been a pickup in some amount of potential M&A activity coming into this wealth management space.
Interesting point right there, Chakri. Apart from the wealth management space, I also wanted to discuss two other spaces that are probably returning from the lows: defense and railways. Newer orders are flowing in. Probably sentiments are improving right there. Do you think the worst could be said as over for these two pockets? And for somebody who has an extremely long-term horizon with respect to defense and railways, should now again start looking at these two spaces for their long-term portfolios, and any key stocks that you are preferring over the others in terms of your approach?
No, you're absolutely right. The stocks have corrected significantly, a good 40, 50 or more percent,
Yes.
50% from their highs. And one of the keys after the Maharashtra election going in favor, that clearly removes, and Maharashtra is a big state in terms of its
Yes.
own contribution to GDP. Yeah, and that will remove some amount of overhang in terms of the government's ability to continue on its policy front. So I think things like companies like Titagar have connected quite a lot. Cochin has and Mazagon had also connected quite a lot. So I think they're worth start nibbling into because the runway is very strong for these companies.
Chakri, what have you done for your clients' portfolios over the last 3 weeks? Anything in particular that you've added which requires mention? And how has your personal portfolio behaved in probably the last quarter of the previous quarter of 2024?
Post the correction of the 10% in the indexes, I think we started adding companies. The power financiers we clearly added, REC Power Finance. Post the Adani group of companies falls, we added into because Adani Ports is a market leader. They control pretty much 60-70% of the overall port activity into India, export and import and export, and very strong growth plans. Adani Enterprises is a holding company of sorts, which has some of the parts of each of the individual companies. Then Adani Green, if you look at this growth, and you compare it to the growth path of, let's say, NTPC Green, from that perspective, the valuations are okay. NTPC Green is something which we also bought into post the listing, immediately post listing of its IPO.
Okay, so those are some of the interesting names right there, which we can definitely keep an eye out on. Since you're talking about NTPC Green and the recent IPO space, I also wanted to get a sense, because this is another week where we are going to be seeing 3 more IPOs open in. So Vishal Mega Mart, MobiKwik are 2 interesting ones that are coming in. Anything that particularly you are also looking at favorably?
All these the valuations of all these 3 IPOs are actually fairly robust.
Okay.
Out of all of them, I think Vishal looks okay, and the size of the offering also is a good offering. But the only thing is, given that it is the proceeds of the company is and that is kind of the issue. But having said that, I think it's worth looking into.
What, according to you, explains this mega rally that we are seeing in these new entrants in the F&O space, Policy Bazaar in particular? It's just rocketed. Some of the stocks that we discussed earlier, MCX, BSE, CAMS, CDSL, also a part of this new journey that they've started in the F&O space. Any picks, any favorites that you might have in the internet space that still haven't moved up?
I think Zomato is one of them, which is looks very strong. PB FinTech while has done exceedingly well. I think given where it started off from in the past, that way there is still sufficient room for the stock to move up. Mind you, these stocks have corrected very significantly over the last a year or so. Against that backdrop, I think there is a trade to be made out there. Valuations wise, please note that they are all very expensive stocks.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at pre-open trades. A bit of a discomfort. This is a 1 percentage point down on the Nifty at the start. This will improve. It will improve for the better. Let us see what are the stocks that are contributing to this downtick. It's Reliance, 64 rupees lower, 1247. 5% down. This will not happen. This will improve for the better. What is looking good? No stopping HDFC Bank. 2665 higher, 1882. This is a fresh record. TCS 48 rupees higher, 4480. What else is in the green? Other banks. Look at Axis, 9 rupees 45 higher. Look at SBI flat. Kotak is 12 rupees lower. ICICI Bank is flat at 1328. The Nifty has already showed signs of improving. Now down just 100. This will again improve for the better. Let's look at the top gainers as far as the markets are concerned. Any names that catch my fancy? Titagarh, this is something that just mentioned by Chakri, 2% higher, 1214. There is Brigade Enterprises, there is Vardhaman Textiles putting in smart 2.5% gains. Let's look at the F&O space and see if there's anything worthwhile. PVR Inox, ladies and gentlemen, Pushpa 2. The collections on this one have been very, very robust over the weekend. It topped 1678. NHPC, a very good report coming in from CLSA. They've pegged the target above 100. This is 2.2% higher. You have a coming in Tata Motors. Remember, this is a beaten down counter which we are looking forward in terms of a decent appreciation from here on. No stopping gas stocks. Mahanagar Gas, Indraprastha Gas, 1 percentage point higher, and the Nifty is a decent 65 points down. Remember, the initial downtick has improved, and Reliance is now just down 13 rupees 55. ICICI Bank is still down 12.95. I believe this will improve. Let's get conversation from Chakri going back again. Mr. Lokpriya, a very, very strong move coming into erstwhile market favorites on the momentum and the investment side, which is PSU stocks. Any favorites there, and what prompted this very sharp uptick that we've seen over the last 7-8 sessions? Some of these stocks are really rocketed.
Yeah, absolutely. PSU banks, if you look at State Bank of India, Canara Bank. Now, Canara Bank, of course, has a small trigger. They're selling a stake in their asset management company. And, if against the backdrop of, where the spend, corporate India spend is coming, is still only from the public sector. And that public sector capex spend, largely the loan growth is coming from the PSU banks. And so in an era where the economic growth has slowed down, GDP growth has slowed down, corporate India has slowed down 10%, then we'll give valuations to where the growth is visible. And the growth is visible amongst Canara Bank, State Bank of India, other PSU names, valuations very attractive.
Chakri, since you're talking about banks, I have to bring this up to you because, Friday we saw the RBI policy, and as the markets were expecting, no repo but a CRR cut right there. But it's a very tight rope, as Governor Das continued to indicate. that we are looking at headwinds that are emerging globally as far as the growth concerns are there. Inflation still continues to be number one enemy right there, which the RBI is focused on. Now, two things going forward from here is what I wanted to understand. How are we really looking forward to the trajectory going forward? What is it that the market should be expecting from the RBI, and what will comfort the markets going forward? Now, since this is already done and it was anticipated, plus there is no clarity on whether Governor Das is actually getting an extension in the term as well. So probably the announcement could be coming in today. What is your own sense that is coming in? Earlier on, the instances that have come in, the announcements have come in fairly in advance, and the markets clearly had that clarity as to who's going to be the next RBI governor. Of course, we do know that Dr. Das is the second longest serving RBI governor thus far, and therefore there is whether it is happening or not. What is it that you're expecting there?
You're absolutely right. Dr. Shaktikanta Das has done a very good job in shoring up the Indian economy and providing a right policy stability and rightly not policy, being very proactive in his approach. And he's also won awards for being one of the best RBI governors, central bank governors. And, it is clearly the market's good interest that he is again reappointed as the RBI chief in today or tomorrow. I think the announcement is expected, and that will be a sigh of relief for the market in an era where we need policy and regulatory stability and clarity, and his reappointment is clearly very important.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, another detour into the markets. Let us see how they're behaving. The Nifty is a modest 50 points lower, nothing to be worried about at all. Again, let's look at the losers this time. Biocon down 5%, 361. Marico down 2.7%, 616. Apollo Hospitals 2.4% lower. Lever has slipped 1.4%. Profit booking in PB Fintech 1 percentage point down 2020. Anything else that should be worrisome? No, this is all that we have. And of course, within the NSE 500 in the cash counters, let's see if there are any other names. ICICI Securities 1.8% lower. Cochin Shipyard flat. Chakri, when you look at are there opportunities for the long time as far as market that happened were the reduction of cheaper administered price gas that the government would allocate to IGL. IGL in turn has raised rates, so it's just passed it on. Now at about 388 and going into a bonus board meeting. What's your view?
Yeah, that is the precise risk with these companies. One is the recent announcements have reduced the volumes for the company, and second is in terms of any price increases that are passed through. Price changes are so the companies don't benefit from that, from net. So given the background overhang, I think even though the stocks correct, stay away from that.
Okay, got that. The market seems to be now settling in as far as the pre-open trade is concerned, and what we are given to understand is that the Nifty could be looking at a 43 point of a downtick opening, 24,633 right next week, or that has been coming in. They have outperformed the benchmarks as well. How are you really looking at the mid and the small cap space and the broadest index right there? Are there interesting opportunities that are emerging out of these pockets? What is the approach that you're taking? Is it completely stock specific? Does it have a trend that one can really pick at in the broader markets?
I think from in the broader market, it's still the industrials and the cyclical companies because growth is still very visible. Even after the correction in the stock prices, the stocks revenue and EPS growth is still fairly robust after all the revisions that have happened. So in the EPC space, Nagarjuna Constructions, companies like that, with Maharashtra again coming back, I think that looks good. We already spoke about the power financiers.
Yes.
Then we spoke about, then I think NBFC, Sriram Finance, has connected fairly significantly. The valuations are looking good. And again, that will also will help from a liquidity boost. I think that is the approach that we are adopting, still cyclical.
Fair point. 909, the pre-open has settled. Sakshi's pointed out the Nifty. A back foot on the Nifty bank, 128 down. But Sakshi, what's really interesting, and I'm sure Chakri would love to comment on this, is I'll request the PCR to fire the CNX small cap 100 index chart. It was at 17,456 on 18th of November. It is at a record high, almost at a record high on Friday. It's opening about 30 points higher, 19,549. So this is a stark reversal of fortune for the better. We were worried कि mid cap और small cap की valuations में कितना problem है, but look at what the index is saying. And if the index is at a record high, look at how individual stocks would have outperformed even more dramatically. This conundrum, Chakri, whenever we want to beat the market down, we talk about extended valuations, and whenever we need, अच्छा भाई वापस आ जाओ. So small caps and mid caps at record highs, and Nifty and Nifty banks still languishing.
Yeah, absolutely right, LG. You always have the knack of summarizing it very correctly so. And I think as you correctly pointed out, the biggest conundrum as far as the large banks, the private sector banks, again their loan growth has slowed down. Whether it is Axis Bank, ICICI, HDFC. Second, you look at the metal companies, the Tata Steels, the Hindalcos, their earnings growth again because of China's problems have slowed down. So amongst the large cap, you have enough. On the other hand, if you take the broader market after the fall, despite the market fall, the earnings growth has fairly held up. So now it probably trades about 18, 19 times. And in a point in an economic cycle where interest rate cuts have not yet started, I think really the broader market will continue to.
Now joining on board, let's quickly welcome Vice President Technical Research. What are you expecting? We have had 3 consecutive weeks of positive moves as far as the benchmarks are concerned. Is this going to be yet another week where we are going to be celebrating gains on a week-on-week basis?
Very good morning, all of you. Yes, everyone is in a Santa rally. So market is showing us a good specific, one may say so. So for Nifty, we need to wait for 24,800 to be crossed decisively, and that would trigger a further potential target of 25,200. Now, Bank Nifty already is showing strength. So I would say on near-term basis, 52,800 would act as support. And we are sustaining well above 53,000 levels. So now next projected target, what we are looking at is 54,500 and higher. So I think stocks, it's a positive bias.
Right. A very good morning to you, Vaishali. And a positive bias is what everybody is hoping for. We are already on 9th of December, and FNOs buzzing with new entrants. What do you like there? And anything that you would want to give as color on maybe Reliance and maybe Tata Motors?
Of course. So, focus was all on Tata Motors, what we saw on Friday, and we have spoken about this stock so very many times. So, the bias turns positive. I would say now the earlier support levels of 760, 770, now it's elevated to 785, 790. And we saw a close at 816. So that was the near-term resistance. Once we see the stock moving above 820 levels, I think it opens up targets of 845, 850 to start with. So Tata Motors, observing from here on, and also Maruti, as we have been speaking so many times, auto index has not participated, and I think Maruti also quite technically well placed. A lot of good consolidation taking place at these levels, so I would say one can buy at these levels. And talk about Mahindra, as always outperforming. We need to wait for it to move above 3,000 levels to look for a target of 3,300, 3,400. And you were asking me about Reliance. So I guess Reliance, we'll have to wait it out because, well, support level has been respected. So for near-term basis, 1250 would act as a support, and 1350 needs to be crossed for higher targets.
Okay. Right, Vaishali. We'll also get in Chakri on the auto space right there. That's going to be interesting one to watch, especially because just now we've got the FADA November data as well, where passenger vehicle sales have actually slipped by 13.7% year on year, Chakri. What we've seen in contrast is that the two-wheeler sales, as FADA reports, have been up 15.8% to 26.2 lakh units right there. Tractor sales have increased by 30%, but the commercial vehicle sales have dipped by 6% as well. So it's a mixed trend that we are getting so far. We do know how the commentary was coming in from various companies on the muted festive demand. How are you really looking at the auto space, four-wheelers versus two-wheeler space? What is exciting you at this point in time, and what are you avoiding?
The volume growth for the four-wheelers has continued to be weak. The two-wheelers, over the period of the last 12 months, the volumes have actually grown, have at least maintained their growth expectations. So, the usual suspects, TVS Motors, Bajaj, have actually done well in terms of both volume growth as well as, and the stock price has done, therefore, decently well. Within the four-wheelers, Hyundai, after it did its IPO, has corrected, and it probably trades at about 18 times. This company will benefit now from an export market because it for both domestic and export is happens out of Hyundai India. So I think that's one stock which we could potentially look at.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, the market is upon us, flat to positive. Nifty galloping towards green territory. It should be there in a couple of minutes. The Nifty Bank 64 points higher, IT index 38 points higher, the Nifty 500 is 18 points higher. So it's a modest start, and any second now you'll see the Nifty in the green. HDFC Bank leading the rally, 12 points higher, 1868. You have a very strong move coming in Bajaj Finance. This is something that I've been tracking all through last week. Positive, 49 points higher, 6900. You have Reliance slipping a bit, 4 rupees lower, 1307. What's in top form? It's L&T, 32 rupees higher, 3899. What else is buzzing in the green? Let's just give it a break. ICICI and Axis Bank are about 5 and 6 rupees lower, and nothing to be worried about. Let's look at the gaining side on FNO, and let's look at top gainers here. Okay, Angel One taking it away, 2.8% higher, 3387. Paytm in the news, 2% higher. NHPC CLSA reports a higher target, 2% higher, 87 rupees. JSW Energy, Manappuram Finance, Persistent, SGVN, all of them in the green. It's again a PSU rally, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that we've been talking about, and let's look at a couple of stocks. So, okay, ITI 5 percentage points higher after Friday's 30 TC, an interesting development which I'll discuss a little later. 2.5% higher, 802. IREDA, IRCON, this is something I've been pointing out in the green, and I want to find out what HUDCO is doing. Okay, I can't see it immediately, but it will be there on your screen. All told, a good one, and very strong moves coming into the entire wealth management space. That you would like to do in the first couple of minutes?
Well, I would wait, but few stocks are coming in showing strength. So Kalyan Jewels is one of the stocks which was recommended by us even on Friday, and that is one stock which one can look. Roto Pumps in the cash category has given a gap up opening that looks very promising. So yes, these are the stocks which I do like at these levels.
Okay, got that. Several other stocks that are pulling up in the initial few minutes. AB Money, Aditya Birla Money, that's up by 13% in trade. Strong move being seen right at the opening. CAT from the tire space up by about 6 odd percent. That's also moving up pretty strongly. Welspun Corp has bagged 2 orders, and therefore you can see strong surge on this one as well. About a 4% uptick can be seen on this one as well. The broader markets are doing well, better than the benchmarks. About 0.4% of an uptick coming in for the mid cap index right there. A lot of those mid cap counters are also now moving in strength. You can actually see some of the spaces. It's now half odd percent higher for the mid cap index. Stocks which are doing well are Sundaram Finance, Paytm, that's up 2.5%, NLC India, Voltas, Kalyan Jewellers, as has been marked by Vaishali already, Bharti Telecom, CG Power, Delivery. These are looking interesting at this point in time. FNO space, again, it's Angel One that's taking it away, 3.3% higher. We have NHPC also that's buzzing in trade right now. Real estate space doing very well. The top moving sectoral index right now. Let's see. It's that up over 1%. Most of the gains are languishing between half odd percent to even 1% higher. Oberoi Realty, Mahindra Life Spaces, Sobha, Macrotech Developers, all of them in thick trade. Top movers on the Nifty right now are L&T, coming back after a long haul, 1.1% higher. Bajaj Finance continues its strong move. Shriram Finance, SBI Life, NTPC, these are the top pockets that are moving in tandem. Within the PSUs, again something that Chakri also marked, the power financiers, PFC and REC are in strength. NHPC up by 2% odd. We also have NTPC that's garnering strength. BHEL that's also moving up pretty strongly in trade. Chakri, do you believe it's within the PSUs, the power space is willing to come back and come back strong after a bit of consolidation has played out here?
You're absolutely right, because, the growth is very intact in the space, irrespective of, the corporate India slowdown. And also order awarding by the government seems to have held up. And therefore, stocks like NTPC, which have corrected quite a bit, I think they've always looked strong. I think it's worth buying it.
Let's pay attention to what is also happening in the renewable space. Sakshi, you've seen a strong move coming into Inox Wind, 210.76. CG Power is doing very well, 800 on the board. A strong move coming in onto Birla Soft, 0.5% higher. Coforge, about 1% higher. A change in digit, Coforge, gentlemen. It's broken past 9,000. Wow. Let's just look at the stocks chart. I would just not even hazard a guess on the technical side, but this is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very strong move coming into Coforge. We've seen it now above 9,000. Cash is still below 9,000, but futures doing very well as far as markets are concerned. Any all-time highs apart from Coforge in the early part of trade? Dixon, no surprise, 1.2% higher. L&T, ladies and gentlemen, 1.5% higher. Remember, 20 days ago, I was telling you to get L&T in your portfolio. It was available below 200-day DMA. Now, of course, in new orbit, and we will soon see a digit change on L&T as well. Indian Hotels, Zomato, life begins above 3,000, and of course Coforge, 8975. Let's get Vaishali into the conversation. Your favorite stock as far as the IT space is concerned, Vaishali, what looks good?
So right now I would look at LTI Mindtree, gradually progressing higher, and I guess this too should give a new high. So 6530 is the previous high that we are looking at. A move past that could give us higher targets. So this is one stock to my liking currently.
Okay, Chakri, I'll draw your attention to the weak part in the market in the initial few minutes, and that is the FMCG space. The FMCG sector is down by 1.7%. Several stocks that are down sharply lower in trade in single high digits. So Godrej Consumer is down 9%, 3.5% loss for HUL. Dabur, Marico, Colgate, Britannia, Nestle, ITC, all of them are actually dragging in trade. What is still wrong in this consumption space, and why has this space not really come back the way the others have managed to show some resilience and come back after a consolidation? This space has really lacked the strength. Why do you think so?
I think the one word is lack of innovation. Because it's to say there is no new that catalyst for revenue growth acceleration. And if you looked at the most recent commentary from Godrej Consumer, it shows there's continued weakness in soaps. There's the weakness in pesticide, in their pesticide business, not pesticide, what do you call it? There's weaknesses in some of their businesses, and so as a result of which, there is no catalyst, revenue catalyst, which is essential. And the same story can be repeated across the other bits of FMCG. So, the valuations are high, so we would stay away from it.
In 9:25, what we'll do is we'll take a detour into what the broader markets are telling us. Sakshi, 24,700 is what the Nifty is looking forward to. So, as we've been talking about, buy the dip, that's working beautifully. Let's look at what the broader markets are telling us. Bulls holding sway on the Lal Street. 1672 shares in the green, 550 in the red. Taking it away is, ladies and gentlemen, the 0.4% higher, 58,941. In fact, the three indices that are top performers today are mid caps: Nifty Alpha 50, Nifty Mid Cap 100, and Nifty Mid Cap Select is also in the green. The small cap index record high 19,550, looking good. So Sakshi and I tracked 19 indices for you. 16 are in the green, and the three that are a bit off, I won't bother about the Nifty Media Index at all. The Pharma Index is 0.25% lower. The Nifty Next 50 mildly in the red. Nothing, absolutely nothing to be worried about. A very good show as far as prices are concerned. And CDSL, maybe a digit change, we'll see soon. And a very strong spurt coming into Container Corporation, 1.6% higher. Vaishali, what are the charts telling you in Container Corporation?
So, Container Corporation, technically, if you speak, it already made a double bottom, and from there on, 780 was a good support level, and from there on, we are seeing the stock trending. Near-term resistance is 865. So, once we see a move past that, I think this is ready for a target of 900, 930. So, view is positive. For those who have not participated, 800 should be the support level now, and one can buy this for higher targets.
We'll keep an eye out on Concor right then. Let's bring our attention back to the new age tech space. Paytm specifically, 1,000 levels now, moving up strong, 2.7% higher in trade. Chakri, do you think it'll have some kind of a discomfort after the stock has really rallied about 3 times already from their lows when the regulatory issues had come in? Or do you think this is now in a different orbit and is set to move up higher from here on? What would your approach be on 197 communication?
I'm not so clued in on the stock right now. So, I'll stay away from commenting on it.
Okay. Fair point. Let's also look at some of the other new age tech space stocks then. Where do you find valuation comfort currently in this space? Are you really looking at adding fresh positions also, or you're good to go with the kind of funds that you've already invested there?
If you look at Swiggy's, the valuation discount versus Zomato is still very stark and everything. And, both are market leaders, both have more or less equal market shares. The margins of both companies are improving, but the valuation discount of Swiggy is fairly high. So I'd buy Swiggy.
All right.
Fair point. 928, ladies and gentlemen, it's taking it away. It's the action which is on select counters, which Sakshi and I have been highlighting. Look at BS. I think Policy Bazaar. I'm even hesitant to, Vaishali, look at the charts because it's been a single side one day rally, consistent rally on Policy Bazaar. Same time last month on 14th of November, the counter was at 1665 and it took out its all time high on last week, 4th of December. There's just no stopping it. Extended rally, Vaishali, what are we supposed to do? Look at it in awe, or maybe get into it?
I don't think it is wise to get into it because we've seen a one-way rally, as you also pointed out, and it's already in the overbought zone. So to those who are holding, should at least book partial profit or hold with a trailing stop loss. I don't see any new strategy over here.
Got that. Right, Chakri, we'll take the one last question with you then, and this is related to the pharma space that we haven't discussed with you enough. I wanted to just discuss and understand from you what is your own approach here. Are you still finding values of opportunity here within the pharma space, and which is the pocket? Are you interested in the mainline pharma stocks? Are you interested in healthcare or diagnostic chains? What is it that your approach is right now?
The mainstream pharma has actually done very well. The valuations are, and as far as the diagnostic companies are in a situation, margins will continue to decline. So therefore, their stocks will trade at lower and lower multiples. So I'd stay away from them. And I think there's more than enough action happening within the cyclical space, and therefore that's where most of our efforts has been.
Okay, got that. Well, we will thank you, Chakri, on that note, and for sparing your time with us. It's always a pleasure to seek all those wonderful insights that you share with all our viewers. Good to have you with us, and good day to you. Thank you so much. All right, viewers, we'll continue to look at how the markets are shaping up. Consumer durables picking up pace now, 0.5% higher. Mid caps are doing well, so small caps also now 0.3% uptick can be seen on this one. Financial services, the Nifty bank, particularly private banks, are also moving up. IT is just absolutely flat with a positive bias right there. What slipped and slipping more is the FMCG space, now 1.8% lower. Media stocks, pharma, autos, they have slipped into the red as of now. Top movers on the Nifty are L&T, which we've discussed, SBI Life, Kotak Mahindra Bank, BEL, HDFC Bank is also now pulling up strong, 0.7% up. Bajaj Finance is another one that's 0.7% higher in trade. But on the lower side, you have all those FMCG names that are down. At least top 4 of the 5 names that are on the downside on the Nifty are from the FMCG space, along with Infosys and M&M that's also seen dragging. Within the broader markets, there are some interesting names that are pulling up now. We've discussed SIAT, Roto Pumps and ITI. What else is moving up is Setco Automotive, that's another one that's moving up about 10% in trade. We have another stock like Umang Dairies, AB Birla, what I mentioned, Aditya Birla Money, that's actually at a 20% circuit right now. That's as far as the broader markets are concerned. Anything specifically, Vaishali, that takes your attention? Where are you keeping your eye out on?
Well, right now there are quite a few stocks. Right now I'm seeing JM Finance because as we saw Angel Fund doing well, JM Finance in the cash category is coming up with momentum. So that is one stock which I am focusing on. Yes, I think it's quite a good bullish candle. So 133 should, I think near-term resistance should be around 150. If we see the stock moving above 152 or so, we can see higher targets. So yes, this is one of the stocks that I'm looking at.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a digit change in CDSL 1906. This is moving with rapid gains as far as prices are concerned, but we are not checking them because again these have moved dramatically and drastically on the charts. They're just overextended. I'm marking them for the benefit of everybody. Bombay Stock Exchange 5489 doing very well, 1.7% higher. As a good time as any to mark. Sakshi, we've just very smart move coming in at 3321, 7.5% higher. This is in a fresh orbit now. Also moving very well are 2 stocks that we've been discussing. PGEL, this is PG Electroplast. Ladies and gentlemen, another thing that we needed to mention was this 15,000 crore rupee IPO coming in from LG Electronics, the Korean giant, and as Sakshi says, the Korean soap opera. अभी कुछ दिन पहले Hyundai और अब LNG and LG. So what is going to be in the limelight? All those people who supply equipment to LG, maybe finished products, and which LG just stamps as LG and sells it to us at a huge premium. So keep an eye out on Voltas, Blue Star, Whirlpool. Whirlpool has corrected substantially, and I was just reading over the weekend, Sakshi, amongst the top 10 mid caps held across mutual funds, Whirlpool is one. So keep this eye out, and of course all those who supply to these three. Look at what was the third one that we used to track, EPAC, and one more. I'll give that name to you, but all these will be in top shape as far as prices are concerned. A new high on Indraprasth Medical, 3.4% higher. Sakshi's marked Birla Money. For all those who still read newspapers, there's a front page ad by Aditya Birla today, and that deserves mention. Please look at the newspaper, and then you'll understand what I'm trying to say. What else is at a record high? Kernex Microsystems, 5 percentage points higher. This is the aftermath of the order inflow of 2,041 crores for supplying Kavach, which is the anti-collision device to the railways. Sakshi, what are you watching?
Well, on CEAT, I know there is an interesting development. The company has gone ahead for the acquisition of Camso's brand from Michelin that gives the company an entry into the premium segment. That has actually led to this sharp move on CEAT today. And this Camso brand will be assigned to the company after 3 years of a licensing period as well. Remember, the stock is already up about 7.5% odd or so. It's moved up pretty strongly, and this is the key trigger because of which the company is now acquiring this off-highway tires and tracks business as well, and foraying into that space as well. On CEAT, what would you say? Should one chase the momentum here, Vaishali, or it's moved up pretty much on the back of this news flow?
I'll just have a look.
Sure, it's trading at 3316, yeah.
Yes, so I think one can consider keeping today's low as a stop. The very fact that it's open with such a good gap up, it can continue to show an upward move. So today's low is stop loss, and one can give it a try.
Okay, got that. So that's the view on CEAT right now. We will continue to keep an eye out on that one as well. What else is picking up pace is your Kalyan Jewelers now picking up further action now. Vaishali, it's moved up into the F&O space. Should one continue to track the momentum even now?
I think continue with the rally because I guess it's just the beginning. I think at least wait for a target of 770. But intraday, of course, getting 2% to 2.5% is good enough.
Okay. Fair point.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 9:37. So that's wrapping about 22 minutes of trade. We are in good shape, slightly on the back foot on the Nifty 500 and Nifty 50. As I have said, probably you'll see a consolidative phase this week after 3 weeks of sustained uptick. What is in pain? Godrej Consumer Products, where the company's update on its business in terms of volume growth, top line and margin disappointed, and the market duly punishing it, 9.5% lower on 1120. This is the fourth most active traded counter on NSE, in a bit of a pain. Hindustan Unilever 4% lower, 2386. What else is in the red? ICICI Bank a third of a percent lower. I won't be worried. Axis Bank 0.6% lower. I'm not worried. M&M, the battle between M&M and Indigo now reaching the courts on a very simple thing: what to call your car and what to call your airline. What else is in profit booking mode? Asian Paints 2403, 1 percentage point lower. Swiggy 1 percentage point lower. And of course, you have Bharti Airtel about flat at about 1597. Vaishali, Zomato, life begins afresh beyond 300. What are the medium term charts of Zomato telling you?
So it has given a breakout as we have seen about 298. So I think that it still continues to test positive. I would look for a target of 320, 330.
Is particularly moving up pretty strong. Dhani Services up 8%, Sundaram Finance now 6% higher, Reliance Home Finance 5% up. You have Anand Rathi Wealth, that's up 3%. Yojit is moving up about 2.7%. Muthoot Capital about 2.5%. On WAM, 2.5% higher. Angel One is a top mover in F&O anyways. Motilal Oswal Financial Services also moving up pretty strong. This is the wealth creating space that is continuing to be in sharp momentum. JM Financial was already marked by Vaishali earlier as well. You have Arihant Capital Markets also moving up pretty strongly in trade today. Vaishali, what else apart from JM Financial should one carry on the trade in?
Well, one can look at Edelweiss also because it's holding very well.
Okay.
Once it moves about, I think this could be a good buying opportunity with support of 120. 135 acts as a resistance. Once we see a move past this level, I think one can look for a target of 145.
Okay. Right. Okay, got that. So that's
Sakshi,
yeah. Yes, Shail.
there is a sharp move that one needs to look at in the PSU space. Let me just do something different this time. Okay, volume buzzers. SEAT you've pointed out 7.8 times the 5-day average already, and it's not even half an hour into trade. So this is something interesting. Wellspun Corp I'd like to keep an eye out on. 2.5% higher, 809, maybe on a bit of a retracement. There is no stopping HBL Power. Again, this is the Kavach play that is coming into action. Sakshi, you remember HEG, 4.8% higher, 588. We've been marking this since 530, 520 levels. What else? You've marked Motilal Oswal, change of digit, 1003, 3.3% higher. Okay. Would I want to mark Poonawalla FinCorp? Everybody is discussing the resignation of the CTO and the consequent impact on the HR team at Poonawalla. It's great fun for those who want to read it. Please go to the BSC and see the releases by Poonawalla FinCorp. What else is at an all-time high? Any stock that we haven't marked as yet? The new entrant is Wellspun Corp. EID Parry 907 in the green, and the rest we've discussed so many times that I just don't want to mark them. You know the usual names that I talk about really on a regular basis. Karur Vyasa Bank also at a record high, 241. Sakshi, what are you watching?
The FMCG stocks that continue to fall, Shail, I think the downtake on the index is now over 2%, and everything is now falling like 9 pins right there. There is further pressure on stocks like Godrej Consumer that we have marked already, now 9.5% lower. HUL is now nearly 4% lower. Marico, Dabur, Tata Consumer Products, all three of them down by over 3% each. Colgate, Britannia, Nestle, ITC also dragging in trade. Vaishali, should one really look at this as an opportunity to get into the space right now if you're getting these dips, or do you think this is a trend that could weaken further from here on and this breakdown has another story to tell us?
Talking about FMCG index on the whole, right? Strength in this counter of late. So I would say, but let's wait and watch because more downside, the way it's on would not be in a hurry.
Okay, not been a in this sector. One has to look at the real estate space. This has been definitely performing very well over the last few weeks, and more stocks are actually adding on to the momentum. So many times we've discussed macro tech, DLF with you. Anything else also that looks positive, or should one continue to look at these two stocks itself within the space?
No. Even in cash category, if you see, look at Bombay Dyeing. This also
Yeah.
we have spoken many times. So these are still showing a lot of strength. And besides that, we did speak about Shobha and all, which have already seen a good run up. But I'm looking at Bombay Dyeing, that is showing strength. I would
Okay.
consider this stock. Then there was a Century, which is now Aditya Birla Realty. So these are the stocks which we really like even now. But for fresh entry, Bombay Dyeing would be the good one.
A digit change in policy bazaar now. Oh, 2200, 2204, 2.9% higher. There's no stopping KPIT Tech, 1501, digit change here, 1.3% here. But KPIT Tech has seen a lot of good days. The top traded counter, ladies and gentlemen, is Angel One. We have almost 420 crores traded and a record high here. So keep this in mind. And anything that I'd like to make out on the screen as far as new lows are concerned? No, these are all usual stocks. So, Asian Paints new low. Who would have thought? But that's how it is, ladies and gentlemen. Vaishali, the color moving out of Asian Paints.
I think yes. I guess the business has become too competitive, and we are not hearing much from here. So I think technically also it's still showing a lot of weakness. Even if I'm looking at the weekly chart, it's in deep oversold, but no sign of revival right now. So let's wait it out.
Wait it out on Asia from Vaishali on this one. But what is moving is the defense space happily. Stocks like HAL that's up by 1.7%, and look at Idea Forge, that's also moved up pretty strongly today, about 4% higher. Vaishali, any key favorites that you're looking at to sharp correction? Where are you keeping your eyes out on?
So we maintain our positive view on BEL, BHEL, also BEML, what we have been speaking about, and of course not to miss Cochin and Garden Reach. All these were very well placed last time also when we spoke, and it shows strength. So yes, I think long-term perspective also, I'm looking at BEML. Look at the stock. We spoke, I think, at around 3,800 levels. It's right now 44, 45. I think near-term target would be 48, and it can go even above 5,000 levels. So yes.
Hmm. 947, ladies and gentlemen. Not on the index as such, but it's to be again a PSU-led rally. Erstwhile favorite, Sakshi. When was the last time you and I spoke about Shipping Corporation of India? I can't remember. But now at day's high. And you've pointed out the very sharp move coming into all defense counters. We forgot to mention that Defense Minister Shri Rajnath Singh is on a tour to Russia over the next 3 days, probably negotiating the delay that is being seen on some of the weapon systems that needed to come from there, and therefore the market perceiving that Atmanirbharta will again come back into action. Very, very strong moves. Both Sakshi and Vaishali have been discussing this. Mazgaon Dock 1.5% higher. There will be a digit change on this one. Remember, the all-time high on Mazgaon Dock is 5,500. Let's see how this one moves. Midhani at counters, which has done a great deal of work over the last 3 weeks or so, and the twins on the NHPC and SGVN space doing very, very well. This is the upgrade that is coming in from CLSA on NHPC at least, and a fresh move on both these counters, ladies and gentlemen, which is driving the market. Nifty 25 points lower, Bank Nifty 39 points lower, the IT index 32 points higher. It's a consolidating day as far as the Lal Street is concerned on Monday. Sakshi.
Okay, another smaller pockets that we can discuss with Vaishali is the paper stocks as well. Vaishali, you must have seen the kind of momentum that they have got into over the last few weeks. Stocks like Padamji Power still up about 6%. Flair Writing, one of the recently listed ones. Then Ruchira Papers, Malu Papers, Tamil Nadu Newsprint, all of them are actually moving up. Should one pay attention in this space right now?
Yeah, why not? Have a look at JK Paper also.
Yeah.
That's also making higher bottom and it's moved past the previous high. So stocks should be considered.
Okay. Another space is the insurance space also, Vaishali. Now, both SBI Life, HDFC Life are up into thick action and among the top movers on the Nifty. Even LIC is pulled up well. Over the last few weeks, we have seen a lot of anticipation on the kind of regulation changes, amendment to the Insurance Acts that could be coming in as well. And therefore, life insurance majors have been in momentum as well. Any particular favorites here on charts?
So I guess SBI Life for momentum's sake has already started moving, but I would look at HDFC Life. The downside risk is quite limited. I mean, from the technical levels, I think we have a prominent support at 620. So downside risk is limited. One can start accumulating HDFC Life. That's what my view is.
And we also await December 21st. This is when the much awaited cut in GST, perhaps this was the recommendation that the panel of ministers made to the group of ministers on GST, which is on life insurance policies, health insurance policies. So a tweaking on that, on a reduction, is what is driving this move. Again, one more entrant in this wealth management space, which is doing very well, Nuvama, 0.7% higher, 7,079. This is a stock that we don't discuss often, but in terms of sheer valuation, Nuvama is much lower than the other ones that we keep talking about. All-time high on Nuvama is somewhere like 7,300 that you 74.71 that you saw on 7th of November. Most likely it will be achieved. So SEAT acquisition, as Sakshi points out, doing pretty well. Fresh intraday high, fresh all-time high, 3.7% higher. No, SEAT is 9.5% higher, 33.85. A quick one on SEAT, Vaishali. A new entry here. Would it make sense, or is it just overextended? Overextended. Let Vaishali say that. Vaishali, you.
I think even weekly chart, it's making a new high, so I think go for it. It's already 10% up, but I think it is good. To those who have picked it at a lower level should hold on, and I think it can go higher.
Okay. Got that. So that's as far as SEAT is concerned. Let's again look at some of the other pockets that we can discuss with Vaishali right there in the markets. Remember, very few sectors that are still holding up, viewers. Real estate, consumer durables, infra, financial services. Now even the Nifty bank has slipped, so about 0.1% lower. So have the private banks, and we are also seeing PSU banks as well, 1/10% lower in trade. Of course, FMCG is dragging the most, 2.2% lower, but the action is limited to either broader markets or maybe realty, consumer durables and infra spaces right there. Within the Nifty, again, L&T is further picking up pace, now 1.8% higher. SBI, HDFC Life, we've discussed BEL as something that Vaishali is marked as her preferred stock within the defense pack. You have Kotak Mahindra and HDFC Bank holding up strong, but what has slipped is completely the FMCG space. Trend is lower in trade as well today, 1.1%. Paints, Infosys, Axis, IndusInd Bank. These are the heavyweight counters that are dragging the sentiments. On the PSU space, then you have again the power related stocks that are still up. Stocks within the railway space. Let's ask you, Vaishali, have you looked at the railway story developing over the last 1 week? Stocks like maybe IRFC, Railtel, Rights, RVNL as well. What has looked good to you?
Definitely. So I don't know. Last time when I was on the channel, I had spoken about Jupiter Wagons that was ready for a
Yes,
breakout.
yes.
And today morning, I was just seeing that yes, it had opened strong, but right now it's still hovering around at these levels. So this is one of the stocks, and besides that, of course, IRFC and all have got into new round of momentum. So I would be focusing. Currently, they are showing resistance of 200-day moving average. That is IRFC. But once we see the stock moving above 162, 163, it would regain good strength. So yes, these are the stocks. Just how we were looking at defense sector a few days back, and it has got into momentum. So this is the sector which looks attractive. And when we are talking about PSU sector, you have been talking about, have a look at CESC. That is one stock which looks very good. I'm not sure Godavari Power whether it's a PSU or no, but it's given a breakout as far as power story is concerned. So these are the stocks which are showing strength.
Okay, got that. So those are the kind of power related stocks that we can definitely look at. CESC and Godavari Power also looking interesting at this point in time. All right, Vaishali, we will just take one last word from you as far as it is concerned. For today, what should be this focus point for traders intraday basis, and for the week you expect them to continue to focus on?
So, well, for the week, we spoke that 24,300 should act as a good support level. And for intraday purpose, I would say, 24,550 should be the support, and 24,850 should be the resistance. So that's how one can play in Nifty.
All right. We'll thank you then, Vaishali, for being with us on this special edition to share with us all those thoughts, and we'll continue to keep a tab on all those stocks that you've also mentioned today right there. Many thanks for being with us. Good to have you, and hope you have a fantastic week ahead till the time we meet you next.
You too. Yeah.
All right, 46 points lower. It's been tad volatile as well as far as the markets are concerned. Remember, the India VIX is up by 3.2% at 14.5 levels, 24,630 right now, viewers, as far as the Nifty is concerned. Large part of the market is now seeing some mild negative moves on the markets. Especially the heavyweights, banks, IT space, that's not supporting. Pharma is down, FMCG is down in trade. Then you also have even the autos that have slipped, metals have slipped as well. Very few pockets that are holding up, and that too with minor gains, ranging between 0.1 to 0.3% of gains between consumer durables, realty pack, financial services, and even the mid and small cap space right there. Limited stocks that are actually doing very well from the wealth creating space. Angel One substantially higher, top mover on the F&O space, that's up by 5.5% odd. Of course, this has also pulled up the rest of the spaces as well. Stocks like Geojit Financials is now 4% up, Motilal Oswal 4% up, Muthoot Capital, Anand Rathi Wealth, Edelweiss was marked by Vaishali right there. All of them are actually up and about. So this space continues to be in thick action. The PSUs, power-related stocks, NHPC, PFC, REC, Concord, HAL from the defense space, BHEL. Then you also have certain stocks within the railways pack doing very well at this point in time. But L&T continues to garner strength. It's the top mover, continues to stay put right there. Life insurance names also hovering higher. And some of the new age related stocks also buzzing in trade like Paytm, PB Fintech. Those are the stocks that we are looking at. Autos and auto ancillaries also looking, some of the select pockets within the ancillary stocks that are actually doing well at this point in time. SEAT we have already marked, but apart from this, Lumax Auto, Rane Brakes, you have Munjal Auto, Gabriel, Shivam Auto Tech. These are the kind of stocks that are moving up in trade. Tourism and hospitality stocks, some of them are actually garnering attention there too. you have BLS International Services, Easy Trip Planners, Yatra, you have Lemon Tree Hotels, all of these kind of stocks that are moving up in trade, paper related stocks also buzzing. So smaller pockets that are actually pulling up in strength right there. What we will do is we'll wrap it up at that note in the morning edition on Market Today. But we'll continue to track the market momentum for you throughout the course of the day as well and see how the markets really move up in momentum. Remember, there's a lack of immediate trigger, so there could be some volatility, and there is a lack of, expiries that we have. Now we have only one weekly expiry. So we'll continue to see how, and of course, globally, things are moving around too as moving parts. So we'll keep an attention, and we'll be back with several other shows with top market masters. So don't go anywhere. We have a lot more for you to really look at into the markets today.
In the heart of the jungle roams the finest creature, and through the chaos of the sparkling city lights, I am reminded of the timeless valor of the majestic tiger. In life's wild journey, we have one shot to thrill. And when done flawlessly, we unwind and allow our spirits to rejuvenate. Royal Ranthambore, India's finest, yet.
Welcome, you're watching Royal BT Golf Season 20.